afternoon. I have Andrew, and in FC is Basil. Hopefully we're going to keep stream going. We've had issues the whole of yesterday. We had a little bit of rain, and today's been clear, but it's threatening. There's dark clouds to our south here, and our technology is doing what technology does best. That is to not work. We are currently looking for some elephants that we're seeing not too far from here. And we are going to try.
See the lapel. Copy. Liam, the lapel is on and both audio channels are on full.
Hello everybody.
How are you?
Alright, how are you?
Good.
What are you looking for?
Here.
Gone in
What's
here.
up, Boggy?
Yeah, how are you?
Oh, good.
I book one my daughter here. I'm gonna off-road now.
Okay.
Copy that. Here's your mic back.
Thank you.
Yeah, both audio channels are on full and
Alrighty.
the mic is on. So I don't know what else I can do.
We're trying to figure out what's going on here, as well as our technology. But apparently, there's a male lion in the bush. These guides from Kaya have just found this male lion, and maybe we can see some tracks on the road there, Andrew. While they establish the sighting for us, because they know where they're going. We'll just wait here before causing some chaos.
Okay, copy that. Input 2. Channel 2's on input 2, channel 1's on input 1.
This male lion was lying down on the road here. You can see all these scuff marks, and also a track back here. We are working on our sound challenges. So
Wild dog and Kaya moving east on Waldorf Road near the intersection of Honey Badger.
I'm going to also turn the receiver off quick.
Okay, this is restarted.
Oh, it's just...
Alright everybody.
So we've just restarted the mic pack and the receiver, but the channels are on full still, so I don't know what to do.
I'm going to wait for this vehicle.
The mic channel on the plus 48.
We've got a lot smaller vehicle than they do, so I'm sure we could be a lot more nimble getting in here. So this is an exciting way to start the drive.
Copy that, it's the first thing I did.
I'm looking for this lion. I think we'll just wait for them to crash away through here. But I can see a pretty easy route from where I'm sitting next to us. I just don't know where the lion is. So they found this lion, and we will just wait for them to get into position before we move into position to have a look. That is pretty cool to be back with a lion. While we wait, all of our pack members, hello to all of you. Mary, Carol, Bob, Rosemary, Brian, Jennifer, Becky,
Sounds like an elephant.
it does sound like an elephant. So apparently there were elephants here, and now we've got a lion. Well, we don't have one just yet. but the kaya guides have found one in here. And it's those tracks on the road were actually really good, and where the lion had been lying on the road, it made it scuff marks. So it shouldn't be too far. It looks like the two of them went walking in here to try and find them, and probably got a big surprise the way they came out of the bush.
At the intersection of honey badger and warthog.
Let me just check if there's any comments. Yeah, you're gonna have to just be patient with us on the sound. We are working on it. The cause of the lack of sound, or the I need to go into four-wheel drive here. Distorted sound or anything like that is at this moment in time unknown. So do this well, I might have to speak up, or when we're driving it's going to be a bit of an issue. I just wonder if it's worth me trying to find he's going all the way down there. Just seeing if there's an easier way in here that is not through all of the thick stuff that he's driven through here. That doesn't look like a good option to me. Also, with all the rain that we've had recently, I don't want to get stuck. That would not be a great way to start back. What's that? Now go for Gareth.
This two male lions, just where they saw the tracks a little bit on the gully, the static ladder punch, little bit of an off-road challenging, but yeah, I've got them, yeah.
Copy, I'll be keen to make my way there as a second.
Copy. Okay guys, go off-road and get stuck, because you must leave your vehicle there, and we'll take you back to the lodge, and you have to come back and fetch it in a few days' time. So if you off-road now, and you get stuck, it's your problem. Sorry about what happened. It's okay. We'll manage to get out. It's not so that wet here where we are.
Now we're playing with getting stuck. Sure you all heard Kevin just warning us that it might still be quite wet.
Leaving wild dogs, they're heading down Kind Global Main Road into the private owners area.
I don't really want to go over those trees, Andrew. Okay, I think this is a better option than where he went, potentially. Yeah, so thick there. So the two male lions are here, and they are sleeping in a bit of a gully. It is super thick in here, super thick, and they're driving a cruiser, which is a lot easier to maneuver than it is for us in this little chimney. So we'll just see if we can find gaps that they couldn't fit through. And we're going to try and see if we can get in here. A big dead quarry. Yeah, I don't want to break the vehicle on my first day back. But this is pretty hectic. I don't know if it's worth it, everybody. It's super thick. It's a little bit wet out here. I didn't know what any off-roading restrictions were. I didn't hear about any. Could I swing? And trying to move with all this vegetation and find gaps is just not worth it. Trying to possibly get stuck in here. And Kevin's not coming to help us, so he did warn everybody. As you can see, it's pretty challenging just trying to maneuver in this little bit, and I can see where that other car is, and it's really not worth it because we don't want to spend our whole game drive stuck in there because the lions. What we'll do is come back here later and hopefully get these lions moving on the road, if that's okay with everybody. As you can see, it's a lot easier on the road. And it's just so thick in there. I don't want to get punctures, I don't want to get stuck. It's just not worth it. Why don't you want to come out of low range? There we go. We gave it a bash, but at the end of the day, it isn't worth getting stuck in there with nobody to come and help us, because the warning was issued. But we will come back here later this afternoon and see if we are lucky enough to have the two male lions wandering around on the road. I don't think they're too far from the road, they're just in a really thick spot. And they're close to camp, so I think it'll be worth trying later. Gareth not joining the sighting. The two male lions west of Seskanset, north of Bosfart.
Confirm track for that.
Two male lions are west of Seskant South, or Sate, north of Bosfart. It's too thick to drive in there. Okay, let's not get stuck. That is a good plan. I agree, Mary. I'm glad you agree with me on that. And I'm glad that the sound issues are fixed. It's nice to have good, clear sound. And now there's less distraction for me and I can focus on you and this experience. So I don't know where those elephants have gone. And I didn't get the update from Brent. It was way too soft and I was a little bit distracted with our sound issues, as well as trying to find out what the situation with those elephants was. So we're just going to keep driving around, see what we can see. String of stars. What? Is it Impala or Leopard? I doubt it's Leopard. Maybe it's Leopard. Which way do we want to go? I was kind of hoping to go and see the Leopard Dam and Sequoia Dam because they're quite nice and full.
5 legal stations on the back of the sighting. 2 mile lines and that's off the road. Yeah, Bosvark, just north of Bosvark, northwest of Bosvark junction with Seskanset. And we sort of see the elephants near the reservoir, but we're waiting, haven't seen it yet. Copy that, thank you.
So, just saw Kevin and Greer. They are waiting at the reservoir to see if anything comes this side. So I want to go and see a couple of the dams. I haven't seen any of them with all the rain. I know Leopard Dam is pretty full and overflowing into the sort of around the spillway, and maybe go down to Sikwe. There are some Impalas here that might be pretty cool in the string of stars. Have a look at that. How beautiful is it with those string of stars? I know Victoria went into detail about them the other day on Drive. So I'm not going to really chat too much about the string of stars other than they make for some pretty viewing. Look at that. That is so beautiful. I am going to try and get a picture of the Impalas in the string of stars if they look at me. If my camera would focus. I was playing around the other day with it because I had a wasp trying to build a nest in my diary, and I'll tell you about that once we leave these Impalas. And now I can't figure out what I've done on my camera. So that is a beautiful setting, something that I haven't seen like I've seen here in the Rietspruit in the last few days since being back, is this amount of string of stars ever. I have never seen this much string of stars. Hello Connie, just checking if I've missed anybody else joining in the last little bit. Doesn't look like it.
Can we please get an update on the wild dog sightings?
We left the wild dogs heading down Kaya Main Road into the private owners area.
Okay.
I'm sure you were all listening carefully to that radio update, as I was, about the wild dogs on Kaya, so it's not an option for us. And they went into the private owners area, so an option for very few. There are some more Impalas wandering through here if we can try and get them through the thicker stuff. But how beautiful is this? I mean, it's not every day that you, like I said earlier, that you see so much string of stars, and it does make some beautiful photography options. Oh, there's a little one. These Impala are actually being pretty chilled. Normally they just run off. Everybody's happy that they've got lots of food about now that the rains have come. Let's see, they should come through the same gap that the others were in just now. And what I'm kind of hoping for right now is they stop in this gap that Andrew's just focused on, and I can get a cool photograph of one looking towards us rather than those two young males that were kind of scratching one another's back earlier. Let's see. This is the patience game. Mom has walked through that gap, so this little one should walk through there. Be quite funny. All you'll get is the little head popping up above the white flowers of the string of stars. Hello everybody, we're back and you got a zebra bum to look at. And now a full zebra. So I was saying, there is not a lot of rain forecast for the next few days. A little bit overnight tomorrow by the looks of it. But it's all around us. And it is having its interferences as it does. Yesterday we had a light rain pretty much the entire day, on and off, from sunrise to sunset. And despite, like, it rained all day, but we didn't have all that much rain. It was like this light misty stuff and then a little bit hard. I'm here, but am I? Who knows? With the little creatures that run around in the rain. Dare us mention them even. Maybe if we talk about them, they won't play their games. But waking up this morning, I thought we would have a similar scenario as to yesterday, where we had rain all day. But it hasn't rained once today. It's just been overcast. But I am enjoying the drop in temperatures. The first couple of days that Victoria and I were back were pretty hot. And then yesterday we had all the rain, so it was quite nice and pleasant. And so is today. More zebras about across the road. That's a nice shot of a Impala having a bathroom break by the looks of it. What's up with her mouth? Looks like it's held at a funny angle. She got a cut there on her top lip on the right hand side. It looks like it. We can't zoom any closer, but it looks like maybe she's got a cut and it's healed. And it's got like a funny shape to it, look. Yeah, definitely. That angle you can see that there's that sort of flap of skin on her top right lip there. Zebras are running. There are no alarm calls. They're just catching up with the rest. Don't want to be the one at the back. I wonder how an Impala would get an injury like that on the top of their mouth. Sure, the Impala just keep coming, and now the zebras are coming through this open section, which is quite nice with all the string of stars. That's pretty. Look at that. We've also got some zinnias, the red flowers there. They're going to go into my gap. I need to be ready. All the Impalas that I was hoping to capture have all just gone through the gap too. Here comes the zebra. That is pretty. That's gorgeous. And stopped to look. And again, thank you for playing with us. One more. This one's hiding though. You could have stopped 1 meter to your right. Nope. All right, that's been nice. Been a nice little start to our afternoon drive with some plains game. Nice little open stretch here with all the string of stars. It is kind of like a bit of a pioneer species. You can see the clouds. So it's setting sort of land, setting the soils, preparing the soils. We've also had a decent amount of rain this season so far, and that's when String of Stars comes out quite a bit. But these forbs sort of have an important role in setting soils as pioneer species often. And then when the climate of the soils is really good, you'll get the grasses starting to take over and fill up an area. But a lot of these areas have been cleared of bush to just thin it out a little bit. As we know, it's quite thick in here. And you've got these String of Stars coming in and colonizing what was probably previously quite thick with... Oh, there's a... I always forget them. I don't know why. On top of that tree with a long-tail flying ahead of us. Oh, Paradise Wider. Long-tailed Paradise Wider. Broad-tails are found further north. In amongst the wood doves. Look at that. It's amazing how these birds at this time of the year develop these long tails. It's so funny how only a few bird species do it, and they only have their tails for the breeding season. They do look ridiculous sometimes, pretty, albeit. All in the hope of attracting the females and passing on their genetics of their long tails. The idea isn't to pass on the long tail, but it comes with being a attractive male paradise wider, or widow birds or other ones. There you go, it's sitting on the top of the tree there now, you can see it, all nice and pretty. Oh, not sitting still for very long. But there's a bit of a trade-off when it comes to these tails. Oh, there it goes, super difficult to try and follow it, it's sitting right on top there. It seems like it is trying to chase a female around. But these long tails attract females, so they try and pass on their genes, obviously, through mating and being successful at doing so. But a trade-off is that they might be a little bit slower when it comes to flying away from predators. So it is just interesting that there's a few bird species that have developed the sexual trait in the males. And we've got a Cape glossy starling sitting there that Andrew's now focused on. So it's a trade-off of sexual success and surviving the breeding season. There's a red-crested Koran calling in the grass there, sort of behind this dead tree that the starling's sitting in. Good to hear, Carol. Thanks for asking some of my questions, or answering some of the questions aimed at me, Mary. For Becky. And we're live again and again and again. We keep trying to come back to you as much as the little creatures try and prevent us. I don't know where I was or what I was saying, but it just amazes me at this time of the year how the birds become brightly colored, while some of the species and others develop these long tails in an effort to breed. It does add a beautiful dash of color, and a very colorful time of the year, as it is with all the green trees, green grass, and the flowers that come out. And then we've got all the songbirds. Beautiful time of the year. I always say my favorite time of the year for safari is October, November. Because you see the harshest of the dry season for the most part in October, and then the green bush growing in November. But this is a beautiful time. You may not see as much sometimes because of how dense and thick the bush gets, but it's a beautiful time with all the babies and the colors of the bush. So alive. I remember when Victoria and I started it on the Rietspruit, it was so dry and there wasn't a lot of energy and excitement in the bush, it felt. And now everything's alive and vibrant. You kind of go through these stages in the year where you can't wait for the dry season because everything's thinned out. It's drier, obviously. Animals are coming to water points. There's some excitement, often a lot of interactions between predators and prey, which is what you're excited to see, is those interactions between species and the game of life and death that's played out before us. And because it's generally cooler weather, it's nice to have some cooler weather after the summer days sometimes. Alright, nothing happening at Kudu Krip. It's amazing how these pioneer species have come across this land. I don't know if you can remember at the end of October and even into November this year, this was just bone dry. Wasn't a blade of anything.
Rolf and Paula on Blaubank, station number 2.
Now it's just covered. And then you go through the dry season and it starts getting a bit desperate and everything needs rain and it's pretty dull. And you're like, oh, I can't wait for the first thunderstorm and the first woodland kingfisher. And then you can't wait for the kingfishers to leave sometimes because they're so noisy. But I haven't found that the case here. They haven't been so vocal this year, or maybe it's just this reserve, the sort of more acacia type landscape rather than broadleafs that I'm used to. Were there a lot of woodland kingfishers last year? Not. I think it's just the habitat type. Yeah, habitat. Is there gonna be a leopard at Leopard Dam? Woo! And all of those of you that do not know, I found, and well, I didn't find, I refound. We re-established is the correct terminology. A sighting of Kudu Krip 2-3. I got to meet her for the first time with my brother, who was out here for Christmas. And I think it was on the 27th of December. Because my brother and sister-in-law had left. Who were with us for Christmas as well, just for a couple of days. Well, Victoria was on her safari. And my brother and I went out, and on the radio, we were in the sunsloot actually, which is hard to believe considering it's flowing right now when you look at this. How cool is this though? This is coming out of Leopard Dam, so that's where we're going. And near Seskant Krip, this leopard was called in. At first there was a male. And then my brother and I raced around from inside. I need to figure out how to talk again. From inside the sunsloot around to Seskant. And she was left, he was left. Just before we got there. Which I always think is quite rude. But we managed to find her again, looking at find the leopard again, looking at a herd of Impala. And when I had a look, I did think it was a female, judging by the size of the head. And she watched us and watched the Impala and watched us, and we weren't that far away from her, but we weren't right on top of her. And she was comfortable, and then a second vehicle that had kind of been in the area came in, and when that car got to us, she ducked away as well as only leopards can do. but it was nice to see her, meet her. And hopefully there's more of that to come. A lot more of that to come. Hopefully. We shall see. And with some photographs that I managed to get, identified her as the Kudu Krip 2-3 female. What else happened while I was here with my brother? I think that was probably the most exciting thing. We had a couple of rhinos. We actually saw the big five because we saw the buffalo next door as well. We saw the lions, we saw the ellies, we saw rhinos, we saw obviously Kudu Krip 2-3. And then on the way out one day from the reserve, we saw the buffalo from next door. So my brother saw the big five on the Rietspruit Game Reserve in 2 days, or something like that, 3 days. And he does like to tell Victoria that he's seen more leopards than her here. Oh, banded mongoose crossing the road, deciding to go the other way. Let me just reverse, because they're trying to cross the road. Hopefully they turn around and go back. We'll just go far enough for them to gain their confidence again. 2 of them crossed the road in front of us, and the rest scurried in the opposite direction. But where we focus now is where they were crossing, so let's wait and see. I think I'm disconnected. Interesting little species in terms of how they relaxed with the presence of people. I've been to some places where they couldn't care and they run around the vehicle, and I'm pretty sure I know the reason why. And then other places, like when I was at Mala for 6 years, hardly saw any banded mongoose. And now on the Rietspruit, they're also not too comfortable with cars. Do any of you know why it would be that banded mongoose is more relaxed in some places and not in others? It's not like they're a species that's just relaxed. It is area dependent or reserve dependent. There's a little question for you in the audience, the pack members. Okay, hey, I'm not braving it. Thought I'd given them enough space, but clearly not. Let's carry on. Don't want to disturb them too much, not that they've all been split up by us. So some on this side and a couple I saw run across the road that way. There's a termite mound here, so suspect that maybe this is their home for the night, now that it is starting to get a little bit dark earlier because of the cloud cover. But I can't see the typical signs of it being a mongoose den. Normally what you find is they're scat all around the entrances or around the little termite mounds like that. And there's none of that there, so maybe it's just one of their bolt holes in their territory when they go out foraging. They have a number of sites where if a predator comes along, they know where to go and get into. But maybe it's not necessarily a den site. keeps them safe until danger's past and then they can move on. Oh, I'm excited to see what Leopard Dam looks like. It's cool to see the purple pod cluster leaves out. We'll try and show you a good example of that. What tracks are those? Hyena. That's cool. That's something I need to ask, is all of our pre-recorded shows that you watched while we were gone, not that we were gone, whoa, this road is not very good. I'm putting Andrew through a bit of a rodeo here. What was your favorite part of that little, what was it, 10 episodes, 12 episodes? You tell me. I remember the first day Andrew and I went out and we set up some camera traps, and we actually need to post a few of those pictures on our socials of what was captured. So keep an eye on Instagram while we post what was seen. But I'll tell you now, or shall I? No, I'll tell you. The one with the carcass, the Diker kill carcass, I don't know if anybody's told you already, but there were some honey badgers as well as civets eating that carcass. Whoa! Look at this. That is impressive. That is very impressive. Look at that water through the trees of Leopard Dam. My word. You probably can't even drive here. No, you can't. That is incredible. I mean, normally we go down here and we just take it easy. And look at that. Stop here for sundowners. That is an impressive sight to see this dam this full, especially when you've got the mountains behind. Sure. It's nice to see a lot of water like this. Such life these water points provide for a reserve. It almost looks like a river. The way the wind is blowing over the top of the water here and being so wide. Well, I guess it is in a riverbed, but it's a small little riverbed at this point. Let's see if we can get a different angle on the other side and just have a look at how far back it goes. I'm glad we came this way and didn't go down Leopard Dam this. You would have ended up here and not been able to cross through. Because that's the way I was intending to come. What's going on here? Ellie's pushing over trees. So we're not going to do a full dam tour, but this is a pretty cool dam to see. And we'll see if we can get across to Sequoia Dam and then come back towards where the lions were. Wow. This is impressive, hey? Sure. This is proper amount of water. To the left here is where we normally come down. You can see the road on the other side there. Andrew's getting for you there. That's in the middle of the frame is the road that we normally come to see Leopard Dam from. So that is a lot of water. That is rather impressive and nice to see, because this should last a good while when things start drying out again. Oh, Andrew's pointing out the nose and eyes of a frog here of sorts. Is it a frog or is it a terrapin? Kind of has a terrapin feel to it, the way it's sticking its head out like that. Just enjoy the sounds, all the toads and the frogs calling in the background. I'm glad you all enjoyed those recorded drives. So then there was a camera trap on the first day that we set up, and it was set up in the sun slit on those rocks. I'm sure some of you would remember that. And I went and got that camera trap in this period that we were closed, and we had hyenas, both brown and spotted, on there. We had 2 different leopards. I'm still waiting for the ID on them. We had lions, we had elephants, rhinos quite a lot, banded mongoose, baboons, vervet monkeys, antelope species. So it was really productive. But when I saw the brown hyena, I almost lost my mind. And that was soon after we set it up. And then it was a while before we got leopard. We got lions before we got leopard. And we had 2 different leopards. One looked like a female and one a male. And then right at the end, before the batteries died, I think the batteries died on them, we had 2 different spotted hyenas that responded to the camera trap, which were quite fun. So we'll share those with you on our socials in the coming days. Giving Andrew some work here. So nice to see this amount of water. Let's go and see what Sequoia looks like. I don't want to roll too far forward here. Kevin's warned us not to get stuck. Imagine I just go straight into the dam. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten how to drive. So, no guesses as to why banded mongoose would be more comfortable with vehicles in some parts or parks and not in others. Well, I'll give you the answer. It's a pretty simple one. They get fed, I'm sure, by tourists where they're self-drive. I'm sure people feed them or they scavenge in towns or in campsites, because wherever I've seen relaxed banded mongooses, they come to the cars. I've seen this in Chobe National Park in Botswana. Not so much in Kruger, but I have seen banded mongoose in the res camps once or twice. But in the private concessions that I've been to where there's no self-drive and no sort of campsites where they might come and scavenge a bit and look for pieces to eat, they always run away. So here they move away from us. At Mala Mala they always moved away from us. In my recent trip to the The Timbavati, I think we saw a group and they moved away from us. Unlike the dwarf mongoose that just sit there and watch you, the bandits, they're not keen for a show, they're just keen to get on with their days. Unless there's something in it for them, which is often food. But something we would love to do is actually follow a group of banded mongooses. Get them relaxed with us and the proper means of doing so. And then follow them on their day-to-day activities. It would be pretty cool to follow a group of banded mongoose and see what they're up to. I would be interested to see just how far they move. It's a cool little project. This is where those lions came from last night. Their tracks are here. Doves have walked all over the top of them. And we know where they're sleeping. So this is where they came from. They've come from Boskamp here somewhere. Nobody drove here this morning. Maybe somebody did, and these lions have moved later on in the morning because one side of the road has got lion tracks and not the other. No, I lie. Both sides have lion tracks. I'll pull over here and just see if Andrew can show you those tracks in the road. You can see that they're not so fresh, maybe not so easy to tell from the camera. Let me just show you why I say they're not all that fresh. I think there's an example here. Yeah, you can see here where it looks like a bird's walked over the track. You can see the lion track there, and then there's a bird that's walked over, so not so fresh. Also here's some more bird tracks coming across this track that was here, and it looks like that hasn't really blown in the wind too much. But you can see here how this is scuffed. I think this is blown and brushed against here, and a dove's been walking here. Doves walk in a very zigzaggy manner, so their tracks are always zigzaggy on the road, so you can see dove tracks quite easily. Now I look like a snake track. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, you all get the point, and I'm just making a fool of myself for some kind of, I don't know, funny reel that Andrew's going to put together of my, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, gardening service / dance party. So I'm sure you'll see that in that clip in a video at some stage. I need to remember these things are recorded and stored and used at a time when you do not think you'll see it ever again. I saw an advert for that open source that we streamed videos onto, and there was a couple of scenes in there that I was like, well, that was me walking down the road, and it just looks like I'm sitting on my phone in one of them. Meanwhile, I'm probably looking at the map because it's early on in the days when I didn't know where I was going. Alrighty, are we going to get across to Sequoia? I think we have to. And then we need to get back to Seskan to see if we can catch up with these lions. That'll be a pretty cool way to end the drive, getting the 4 of them up and about. Whew, these roads are not looking too well. Oh, I didn't see that. You can see so much water around. We've had such good rain this season. Everything is looking beautiful. Except the roads. They're not doing so well in certain sections, which is to be expected. Looks like the clouds are clearing above us. We're getting some blue skies out. How about a sneaky leopard at Sequoia Dam? Like we did a little while ago. My first one, the blowbunk male. I'm also excited to see where we burnt end of last year and what it's looking like now after all the rain and how the bush has recovered everywhere. Ooh. It's going to be quite nice to see what it looks like. It's amazing how much the landscape changes in 2 weeks. Just before Victoria and I went on leave after the Christmas New Year period, it wasn't so green and vibrant and everything's growing up. We've come back in 2 weeks. It's incredible how quickly things grow. Some green woodhippoos flying overhead. Oh, hello boys. We got some giraffe. We've got 1, 2, 3. Trying to hide from us. Disappearing into the thickets. Let's go back a little bit and see if we can get them. It's always nice to see some giraffe. It looks like they might be coming into a little bit of an open section here. Just get ahead of them by reversing. And see if we get another gap on them. We just got to be patient here. Oh, what is that? A little southern black tit was flying around there. And we're back. I kind of want to put those giraffe on again. They were walking through such a nice area. I don't quite know where we cut out. But if we can, there was a recent publication on giraffe that was published, which was based on skull shapes and sizes, which shows that there are 4 I'm sorry for all the breakup. I want to bring a hammer along and just knock the bonnet. Cause all these little G guys in the bonnet to get a concussion, to stop stuffing around with us. So I'm not entirely sure where I was in my giraffe explanation, but we've got 4 giraffe species. It's confirmed. It's the most recent research done on skull sizes and shapes, a lot to do with the cranium, and then the ossicones. So that's pretty exciting. There's just a plastic bottle here that I want to grab quickly. I don't know what to say and for how long to say it before the gremlins get involved. I'm going to just call them out. I hope you all got my giraffe talk. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because maybe that's upsetting the G's because it's a giraffe. We're on our way to Sequoia. We're about to get there. We're going to see how much water there is there, and then we're going to make our way back towards those lions and have a look. I hope you're all really well at home. And yes, Jennifer, those drives are available. Just check out Patreon. See some links there. There's pre-recorded drives. Some very exciting moments in some of them. Our first drive started so abruptly when we were pulling an Impala out of the fence, Andrew and I. And I don't know what we were going to have to do because it happened right in front of us. It is quite pretty where we bird. We're almost at Sequoia. I hope there's something exciting there for us. After the technical issues that we are experiencing with all of the rain that is around, that's what we'll blame it on anyway. A leopard drinking, come on, how exciting would that be? Mr. Blowbunk himself. Sure. That is nice and full. Shame, he's going to have to scent mark his tree a lot now. It's underwater. That's the leopard I'm referring to, everybody. He scent marks this tree over here, which is now underwater. That time that when Andrew and I found him here, he came up past that tree and scent marked. And that was, what, 6 weeks ago? A little bit longer? Mid-December? It's filled up a lot since then. We don't get a lot of water birds here. Can you even drive on that road past there onto Nyala Route? You can't. Ah, that was my intention. I was intending to go around onto Nyala Route and back towards Seskant that way, but this river is going to be full. So we're just going to go to the spillway here, stop and have a little look around from there. And then I think go back to the dam, the wall, and appreciate, oh, we can probably get through there. But we're not going to see much from here. So I'm going to go back to the dam wall because we have to come back this way anyway to go to where I want to spend some time now with those lions likely getting active soon and hopefully coming our way or onto Hoofpad. They cross through the block there. But I want to just sit with this sunset, the mountain, Sequoia Dam being full for a couple of minutes. It is beautiful out here. How about, oh, it was better from the other corner almost. But how pretty is that? Red-chested cuckoo's calling in the background. Bit my throat. Okay, let's give ourselves time to try and get those lions. It's always nice to sit a little bit and see the colors of the sky, especially when the mountains are silhouetted nicely with the water in the foreground. Such a beautiful setting this at Sequoia. We came here a few times, my brother and I, and with my brother and sister-in-law. It is such a nice spot. Let's get around to where those lions were and have some excitement. It's already getting dark. The days are shortening. It's amazing how quickly that happens. I remember a little while ago we would be ending drive now at 7 o'clock. And it was very dark, and then we had to extend it out. as it got lighter and lighter and lighter. And it won't be long until winter's upon us again, the way time flies. With shorter days imminent. I think before I went on leave, you were using the spotlight for maybe 15 minutes at the end of drive. And now, I'm probably going to be using it for 20, 25 minutes. It's kind of that awkward light now where I could be using a spotlight. The camera doesn't suggest that at all. Because my eyes are starting to struggle just in the shadows and amongst the trees. So the days are definitely shortening now. I mean, we are almost a whole month. Ooh. What track is that? No, it must be a lion. Yeah. Big gaps between the toes. Sorry everybody, you're on the wrong side of the car, but there's a very good lion track here. Could have been the front foot of a male leopard. Could have, but I think it's more likely a lioness. It's just in the mud, so it's splayed a bit and looks bigger. And it obviously looks super fresh because it's in the mud. That would be the perfect track to put a plaster of Paris cast into when it dries up a little bit, if it doesn't get driven over, because it is so perfect. Maybe it is a male leopard. It's just looked bigger because he's walked in the mud. Last night the lions next door on BCC were roaring their heads off. And the night before, and our lot were roaring their heads off. So I want to kind of get to where they are at that junction. Bosvark and Seskantseit. And just sit there and wait. Maybe we'll get them roaring and then coming out of the block and walking down towards the fence in response to yesterday, where the BCC lions were roaring near Hayes, a little bit further sort of south from us there. Because maybe our boys are just going to make their way and do a bit of a patrol on the fence line there and give us some roars. It's definitely the time of day where lions and, well, predators in general would be moving around quite a bit. It's cooled off a lot. It's been a cool day, so it hasn't been so hot. So they don't need to worry about sort of energy usage. It's getting to the sort of moment where I'm contemplating whether or not I should put a jersey on. In the middle of January, you need to put a jersey on. But I'm not complaining about the colder weather, it's beautiful. I do a lot better than my cameraman does in the cold weather. Andrew's got a beanie on, I think 3 long pairs of pants, probably 2 jackets.
No, we're not there yet.
Thermal socks.
We've got thick socks.
He's got thick socks on.
We've got lovely fleece. Designer beanie.
Alright, there you go everybody. Designer beanie even.
Second jackets on the floor here getting ready.
Okay, he's got a jacket in the wings in case he needs it. Victoria also doesn't really like the cold so much.
I don't mind. Appreciate it. Body doesn't.
I wonder if we'll bump into our giraffe again. The southern giraffe. There they are. As predicted, this is where they were going. They're on the road ahead of us. It would make a beautiful setting if the clouds weren't rolling in over the top of the Drakensberg there. But it's not one of those days. It's still a beautiful setting anyway, the giraffe walking down the road like this. I'm going to stop just on the other side of a bolster here, so we can appreciate him before he walks off the road, so it's not so bumpy. It's not a bad place to actually listen for those lions to be roaring from. If anybody's interested in that research I was trying to get across earlier and we kept having a few issues with the tech, the scientific paper is called Heads Up for Giraffe Species Have Distinct Cranial Morphology. So it's all based on skull morphology and scans that were done on the skulls of, I think if I'm correct, 500 odd specimens with the different subspecies from the different areas, and they group quite nicely into the 4 species to kind of close that debate maybe. I'm sure some scientists will come out with a different study. And some of you may be wondering, why is it important to have different species? There's not much difference between the 4 of them when you look at them. If we were to put all 4 of them next to each other here at this distance, you wouldn't really sort of say, oh, they're different species. It's not like looking at a giraffe and then a zebra that you can easily see as a difference. But it is important in terms of conserving different species in different areas. And if we're looking at giraffe, all of the subspecies and the 4 species of giraffe, and we just said they're all one, you may think that they're not having too much of a issue globally because southern giraffe are doing really well in South Africa and maybe in Namibia where there's some increasing populations. But giraffe and the northern distribution of the species may be declining. But because overall the species isn't really declining too quickly, it's not of concern. But because the northern giraffe is a different species genetically, and our skull morphology suggests so as well, it is important to conserve those different genetics and the different species in the northern parts of Giraffidae, giraffe species distributions. The same for the reticulated and the Maasai in East Africa. So when we do look at these different species and classing subspecies versus species, although it may seem a little bit silly sometimes if you're not super into the science and the understanding, it is super important to conserving them in different parts of the distribution when they are classified as a species. So now that we can recognize that there are 4, we can concentrate on conserving the 4 species as best we can, and hopefully funding and energy and awareness can be weighed for all 4 species. It's really dark now. Yeah, the white on the back of the ears really do stand out, don't they, Mary? Especially when you look at them from this side. If you were in front of them, you wouldn't really notice that so much because of patterning sort of on the inside. But when you look at the whole body, the white in the back of the ear does stand out. I wonder if it's similar to those follow me signs, giraffe moving through the environment. All right, let's get to where the lions are potentially. I need a spotlight definitely now. We'll use this once we get past the giraffe. I doubt there's anything of interest where we are now, as the giraffe have walked through and would be staring at a predator if there was one. Oh, that is pretty, isn't it? Look at this light coming out from under those clouds. See if we get an angle with the giraffe with the canyon behind it. The last little bit of light. Not really, there's a fallen over tree that's going to disturb the scene. Still pretty. Okay. That dead tree that's fallen over above my head there is a little bit distracting. Well, I must say, it's nice that the rain has stayed away for this afternoon's drive. Yesterday we were unfortunately unable to get out for our Zoom drive. And Victoria's drive on Wednesday had to get cut short pretty quickly, because that thunderstorm came in so fast. And it must be said, she got drenched after they cut the stream and raced home. Her and Basil were absolutely soaked when they got home. So it is nice to squeeze a drive in. We've got 20 minutes left of drive and we're not going to get affected by rain today. Sunday might be a different bit of a story, but we'll have to wait and see what happens then. It's nice to be out and about. There's a nightjar on the road. We're not going to be able to get her on camera, I don't think. I'll just stop blinding it. As soon as I switched the lights off, it flew off. Oh, there's an elephant or two That's nice. Let's see. How's that? An elephant in the foreground of the Drakensberg Mountains at sunset. Looks like it's just two of the boys. Shaking the grass there, just dislodging any insects and sand particles. Flicking it before we ingest it at this time of the year when they pull up all this green grass. Because the ground is so soft with all the rainfall, it kind of pulls all the roots up. And they get a lot of sand on those roots, so they just shake it a little bit more than you might see in the dry season when they kind of break the grass at the base. He's even sort of hitting it on the underside of him, on his belly there.
Kevin off blow bunks.
Mary, as far as I know, we've still got all three bulls. During the Christmas period, the fence had been broken and we thought that one of the elephants had managed to get through. And we had to fix the fence a little bit. And then all three of them were seen together. So we didn't know what had actually happened. We suspected it had been elephants that broke through the fence. But all of our elephants are accounted for. One of these two, or maybe both of them, were in camp last night, causing a mess at about 9 o'clock last night. I don't know if they popped into camp, but they were breaking the trees around camp while I was trying to fall asleep. I actually think it's the one that's on the left, but he's not very easy to see because he's standing in amongst the trees, so it's very dark. The one that Andrew's got in now is standing in the open, so we can still see him with the ability of the camera. When I look at him, I can pretty much only see his tusks. The fence does get abused, Mary. There's constantly things happening to it. Anyway, it keeps everything in. It's one of the joys of living in a fenced reserve. Is fence maintenance is something that you're constantly having to do to make sure none of these guys get out. At least if they go next door, they're still in a protected area, but you don't want them to go out into non-protected area, and then there's people and farms, and railways and roads and things like that. That's where you don't want them getting out, so it's a constant task. Excuse me. I don't know if you can actually hear them pulling the grass up. Andrew, can you get that on the ambient mic? Not really. Yeah. Just ripping the grass up. Alright, it's really dark. I think let's leave them. Can't really see them anymore. Let's carry on towards those lions and see if we can maybe get them before we close show. But I haven't heard them. Right, and now he's going to move towards the road as we sneak past. Hello, boy. I haven't heard those lions roaring, and we stopped with those giraffe for a while. We sat with these elephants for 5 minutes. So maybe they've been lazy. Maybe they're walking through the day and are going to sleep a little bit more into the night now. Because I would expect them to roar with the roaring that's been going on the last few nights from them and their neighbors. And because of where they were, nobody else has gone to them this afternoon. Nobody wants to risk off-roading. And the approach in there, as you saw, was not very good for off-road driving. There's another elephant. The whole herd is here, everybody. I'm not going to put the light on them. I'll just leave my headlights on, which are actually quite dim, just to see Cheeky Chops and his mom a little bit here. I think these elephants are going to mean we're not going to get towards those lions in the time remaining. So maybe we'll just sit and enjoy them for a little bit. These elephants are a little closer, so you might actually hear them ripping the grass up. So the two boys where we were, kind of trailing the herd by the looks of it. I can hear an elephant to our right in the bush. We've got Cheeky Chops and Mom in front of us, and an elephant to our left. So I'm sure the other female is here somewhere, and I wonder if the big bull's We have seen a few bums today. We have that Zebi bum, Giraffe, now Ellie's. It's turned out, despite the issues that we've experienced, to be an enjoyable afternoon. It's always nice to see the herd, especially at this time of the year when the bush is so thick. There's another one walking across the road. So there's the 5th female. Well, the 4th female, because the 5th member of the herd, because Cheeky Chops is a little boy. This time of the year when the bush is really thick, you're going to sort of really count your luck to see these elephants as they just move off the roads and into the thick bush, which is hard to see them in most of the time. And now we can't really off-road much because we've got to be cautious because of how wet it is. Stations. The herd of elephants are on Hoofpad, just south of Bomapad. They are stationary feeding. Just switching the lights down because there's a vehicle coming towards us. Don't want to blind them. I'll just wait for that car to come by. And the car stopped, shining the lights into our... There's one to our left, Joe, and just put the light in the foreground to give you a bit of light. Well, it's not a lion sighting to end our drive, but it is a nice sighting of the elephants. It's amazing how much light this camera is able to pick up. My light is not even shining anywhere near the elephant, and you've got a nice bunch of light. Let's see if we get a better elephant. Where's Cheeky Chops and Mom gone? They were easier to see without the trees, but they've moved in. I think we'll leave them. I don't want to shine the light on them too much. There's another car coming, so I'm just going to wait here where the road is wide. And let's just sit with them, and then we'll sort of... Why is that light flashing? There's a light on the road ahead of us that is flashing. which is very odd. I wonder if they're trying to tell us that the lions are there. Okay, let's leave these elephants to it and carry on. I just want to see if there is anything where that car had stopped. Maybe the lions have got up and are moving and we can put them on for 5 minutes. There's the other elephant. Gareth leaving the elephants on Hoofpad south of Bomapad to themselves. There's no change, they're just stationary feeding. Andrew's laughing at my radio procedure. What's an open location? An open location means there's absolutely nothing there, it's open. Boom. Okay, well, there's nothing where this car was sort of madly flashing lights. But maybe, just maybe, and there's always the possibility along here, we're not far from where the lions were. They've come out and are walking down the road. Everybody, we got distracted at the end there from our original aim of trying to go back into the area of the lions, but it's been a good afternoon nonetheless. We had a nice sighting of those giraffe, and we started off with those zebras and the impalas, which is actually really nice in amongst all those string of stars. And I do apologize for all of our technical difficulties that we've had this afternoon. And then nice to wrap things off with those elephants. Nice to see Cheeky Chops and Mom. And to have a drive without rain interfering. Hopefully the same is true for Sunday. But until then, have a great weekend.